Hey everybody, it's Craig Siracusa. I am at NRB in 2022. Thank God we are here, but I'm excited. They got a great lineup this week, but I'm sitting down with Keith Stubbs, who's the president of Dry Bar Comedy. And I got to read this, the largest clean comedy franchise on the planet,
Yep.
right, planet Earth that is, with over 1 billion views. That is unbelievable.
1 billion and growing.
Yeah, when I wrote this was a couple of weeks ago. So
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You know, there's an opportunity, there's a void, there's an underserved market for stand-up comedy like our stand-up comedy. And about 5 years ago, we started recording some comedians that I knew. I'm a comedian, and I know a lot of talented comedians out there that weren't getting great opportunities. And maybe Hollywood or show business didn't exactly want to work with them. Things have changed a little bit. I mean, the culture, things... when we talked a little bit off air about this, things have changed all over the place. So Dry Bar Comedy, our motto is funny for everyone. We record comedy specials, and the comedy is clean. It's funny. It's not corny. I'll tell you this, comedians, and I'm sure you know some, the last thing they want to be called, they don't want to be called clean or corny. Either one. They want to be called funny. That's what they are. And these comedians that we have in our library are definitely funny.
I always loved comedy. I mean, it's something I've listened to, and I have Sirius Radio, and I've noticed the past few years, Comedy Central especially, the comedy that they select, I can't listen to it anymore. It's every few sentences, especially towards faith, very offensive towards faith, but yet, like you said, you're running this business, this 1 billion views. You don't need to push the limits in that sense and still, tell a funny joke or still be entertaining, but yet we see Comedy Central especially, they're pushing it. The first thing I just got to know, and Dry Bar, does that also mean do you serve alcohol, or is there...
Well, our studio is in Provo, Utah, and it's mainly a venue. It's where we shoot the comedy specials, so there's no alcohol there.
I love
It's
that.
set up as a studio, and the comedians, they come do their thing, and these comedians come from all over the world, and they're experienced comedians. This isn't open mic. This isn't amateur night. These are professional comedians that are getting a great opportunity to perform for a crowd that they probably haven't performed for. It's an underserved market.
And how many people would you say show up to some of these events? Like when you travel, if you do a tour?
Well, there's two different things. So when we record the comedy specials, we're starting season 10 actually next month. So we'll be shooting about 30 comedy specials at our studio in Provo, Utah. And then we also have the Dry Bar Comedy Tour. And what that is that we have several of the comedians that have appeared on Dry Bar specials. So these are comedians that we know, we're familiar with, we think are great. And we take this tour with 4 or 5 of the Dry Bar comedians and tour all over the place. We just did a show last night here in Nashville, and we have got shows coming up in Oregon and Texas, and we just finished Ohio. We have some in New York State. So we take Dry Bar Comedy not just online, not just on our app and other platforms, but you can actually see Dry Bar Comedy comedians live in various cities all across the country.
I love it. I mean, like we said, I really do hope it comes to New York, because that's something that we don't have. And like I said, I cannot watch or listen to Comedy Central. Most of the comedians that I listen to in past tense, I don't find it funny. I find it offensive. How do you vet these comics, though? How do you know someone's not going to go up on stage and use that opportunity to say something that's inappropriate?
Well, I know a good chunk of the comedians since I've been doing this for a long time, so I just talk straight to them. I said, this project is not for everyone. I have had many comedians that are friends of mine who I think are funny. They're talented comedians, but they cannot do what we need to have done as far as our brand. So I'll tell them, if you cannot do this or not do that, whatever that is, then this isn't right for you.
So what would you say is sort of like, obviously you're very successful in that sense. So what is sort of leading, or what is guiding you to that success? Is it because you won't compromise your values? Is it because you're streaming it? What's sort of the secret of success for Dry Bar?
Well, of course we are streaming it, but it's just an underserved market. I've said that 3 times. I apologize for being repetitive, but it's the honest to goodness truth. If you look, like you said, Comedy Central and Netflix and a lot of the other platforms that are out there, they're pretty specific as what they want to put out there, and this would be the agents and the producers and the managers and show business in general, who I deal closely with on a daily basis. I have conversations with a lot of these agents, and what's interesting is at the beginning, when Dry Bar first launched, a lot of those agents and a lot of the comics that I know kind of rolled their eyes like, what is this? What are you doing? And now they get it because they're seeing the results. The proof is in the pudding with the number of views that we have, the number of comedy specials, and the amount of success we've had. But I can tell you, there was a lot of pushback at the beginning from agents, and they know me, and they've known me for a long time. And this, now what is this? What are you guys going to do? Why would you do comedy like that? And to be honest with you, the majority of the comedians are just doing their show. They're doing their act. What they've done, they've honed over years of being on the road. But they just haven't been given that opportunity. And now that the opportunity's there, they're seizing it. And also Hollywood, New York, they're noticing.
I think you're right about that. There, like you said, underserved market. There also isn't that opportunity, that platform, because going to comedy shows. I mean, I know comedians as well. There's a lot of temptation there, a lot of drinking. A lot of them to sort of get that laugh. They constantly raise the bar, whether they believe the joke or the punchline. They push the envelope. They're constantly pushing it, whether it's political or just offensive to a lot of people, just to get that laugh. But what you're doing is, I love that. I love the fact that a family can go to a comedy show, or a couple can go to a comedy show and not worry about hearing something or being offended, and just enjoying the show.
And these are specials that you can stream, so you can watch them at home and not feel like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen next? It's going to be a situation where I have children, I'm married, I want my kids to be able to watch it and not put them in a situation that's not great, not where I want to be. So I think this is a great opportunity for the comics. I mean, the comics in general are shocked by the response. They're shocked by the audience. We have over 10 million social media followers. So that is a big audience that was totally unexpected by many people. And a lot of these comedians that have worked bars and honky-tonks and event spaces and whatever gig was out there are now opening their comedy up to another audience, and they're blown away. And my phone rings and I get emails every single day from comedians, some that didn't want to do it, that weren't interested, and some that are finding out about it. They're saying, hey, how do I get involved? I want to perform. I want to do a dry bar special. And that truly happens on a daily basis.
Wow.
Where a few years ago, it was a tough sell, but it's not that way anymore.
And we know that as believers too, the adversity, it sort of goes. If it was easy, everyone would do it, but also the adversity and the challenge is part of what leads to the success. So what are some of the comics, like any of the comics that we would know?
A lot of the comedians have performed on Netflix. They performed on The Tonight Show and Comedy Central and all over the place. America's Got Talent, Last Comic Standing. We have a couple of comedians that have that you may know. Josh Blue, who won Last Comic Standing, he shot 2 comedy specials with us on Dry Bar. Wow. And we've got comedians from America's Got Talent. I got an email yesterday from one of them that I had spoken to over the years, and he was runner-up. So he's very funny, nationally known. And I said, man, you need to do a Dry Bar special. You really do. And he's like, I don't know, because there is a little bit of a stigma to it. I said, well, do what works for you. I'm not here to push, because we're good. Things are going well for us, but you at least give it consideration. Email yesterday, he talked to his agent and said, jump on it. You need to do it. And he'll be filming one of the specials in season 10, which is upcoming.
So what, in the past, they thought if they were to agree to be on Dry Bar, it would affect their career or affect their brand?
Well, a lot of comedians, look, and comedians are a different breed. I've been doing this a long time. So they all think they're going to be the next thing, or they hope for the next thing. They want to get the Netflix special, because that at this point is the coup de grace. Or remember, it was HBO special. That's what the comedians wanted. So some are holding out for those opportunities, like, well, maybe I'll hold off on this because I'm going to hopefully get that. And then they realize, well, this, you can do both. To be honest with you, we don't have any kind of a contract that
exclusive.
Not at all. They can do that. But I think some comics are like, well, let me see if I'm going to get this other thing. And of course, that other thing is not easy to get. And you'll get more exposure, more views through what we're doing than you will on a lot of those other opportunities. And that sounds crazy, but I can tell you, it's absolutely
and it's, like
true.
you said, it's a rough life. My friend Mario Bosco, who I know is watching this, or will be watching this, he's always traveling. I mean, he's traveling Vegas, and he's here. And he's all over. He's at the whatever comedy show almost every day. He's traveling on the road on flights. It's a hard life.
It's a tough business.
It's late, and it's a lot of drinking, a lot of temptation. It's rough. It really is.
Yeah, it's a tough business, and I toured for years. And
So why did you? What made you change and sort of go into this? What would happen in your life?
I will tell you this. I don't know if you want to hear this story, but
I want to hear,
story.
Baby.
But I worked the road for years, and I was working. When I talk about every nook and cranny, all over the place. I was that guy. I was one of those comedians that would do a show, sometimes have to leave right after the show, get in my car and drive 8 or 12 hours to the next bar or whatever the venue is to do comedy to try to make a living, because it, once again, is a very, very tough business. But I had done that for years. I had 300,000 miles on my Geo Metro.
Wow.
Just zipping all over the country. And I loved comedy, so that would be the reason I did this. But one night, one day actually, I was driving from Albuquerque up to Bismarck, North Dakota, which is a haul. And one of the other comedians in the car during the day fell asleep and about killed us. It was horrible.
Oh my God.
So I was like, okay, this is not working. The road's not working. I'm married. I have children. Let's do something different. And that's when I pulled myself off the road. So when the dry bar opportunity came, they asked me, since I know a lot of the comedians and I understand this business, which is unique business, comedy, I was booking it and got behind it. And I love the fact that I can perform for my kids. My act doesn't change at all. A lot of comics, like, if you say, hey, you have a show tomorrow night, they'll say, well, what kind of crowd is it?
Yep.
Who's going to be there?
Yep.
Do I have to tweak everything? Where I'm comfortable with who I am, and I can do the same material no matter if it's a religious group, if it's a nightclub, if it's a bar. It doesn't matter. My comedy and my material doesn't waver at all.
What do you focus on, like, so some of the comedy? Like, what do you mostly talk about?
I
Family
talk
or?
a lot about family, a lot about current events. So whatever is happening in my life, right, or how even the current events affect my life, that's where I go. I talk a lot about that.
I like that. So now, just 2 more questions. So where could people find Dry Bar, and what's the goal? I know it's not Netflix, but or maybe it is. Like, where do you want to see Dry Bar?
Well, Dry Bar is a brand. We're growing. We're adding more content. We're adding more comedy specials, which, once again, season 10 we start taping next month. We're looking at some other opportunities, different types of comedy, including sketch comedy. So this is our own brand. It's our own channel. Our objective is to be a player in the comedy business, and I believe it's happening, and I believe it's being recognized. We have a website. It's drybarcomedy.com. You can check that. Check out over 500 comedy specials. Wow. Once again, you will say, wow, why haven't I heard of this comedian? And there's various reasons why you haven't. Sometimes it's luck of the draw. It is a competitive and difficult business, but there's also some comedy that you will not see on other platforms because of the way the business works.
Yep.
Without
that's
it,
the problem. On a Saturday, I put on comedy, whether it's HBO or Netflix, and the first 2 minutes, I'm like, I can't watch this.
Right.
I can't watch it.
I challenge you to watch Dry Bar.
I will watch it. No, I'm telling you, because I don't go out anymore. You know, a 5-year-old. And on the weekends, I watch comedy, and that was my thing, because I felt like I was out and I was enjoying myself. And I'd put on Netflix, and I'm like, I can't listen to this.
Right.
I mean, Jeff Gaffigan, I've listened to him 1,000 times. I don't want to, I need something fresh and new, but I don't want something I'm not gonna laugh at those jokes. I'm not gonna, sort of go back to who I was 20 years ago just to feel comfortable watching a comedy special on Netflix. But I will watch Dry Bar, and I really hope you come to Brooklyn. Take a look at the space, because we need that in the New York area, because all of the Manhattan, whether it's Gotham, and there's so many comedy shows in the city, they're all gauged towards a different audience. In the underserved market, it's there. There is no comedians or comedy shows that are like Dry Bar in the New York area.
There are people that just want to laugh, and they don't want to have to overthink everything. And sometimes when you're put in an environment or watching a comedian that maybe is just too much. And look, to say I've seen it all is an understatement. I've truly, in this business, I have seen it all. I'm not just, I've been doing this a long time. And I'll watch some, I was like, oh boy, okay. Because I get it, I understand it, okay. But moving on. And that's truly where I am. We have an app. It's Dry Bar Comedy Plus. You can check out the comedy specials on that. Check it out on Roku, Apple. It is absolutely everywhere and growing. And also, you could just go on YouTube. Check out Dry Bar Comedy. We post new specials and new clips every single day.
I will do that. And I advise my audience to do it as well. And I do hope, like I said, that you come to Brooklyn. We bring Dry Bar to the Emmaus Center. I think this is a great opportunity for us to work together, or at least entertain the idea and show you the space, because we need it in the Brooklyn area.
Sounds like fun.
Hey, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Guys, hope you enjoyed today's episode of Walk in Faith. Always remember, you have the ability to inspire and evangelize through your words and actions. God bless you. everybody, it's Craig Syracuse. Welcome to another episode of Walk in Faith. This is a short episode because I'm sitting down with my friend Robert Borelli when we could talk for hours. Robert, it's great to see you. I haven't seen you in 2 years last year since NRB.
Yes. But we did do an interview once before, so that was great too. But once again, thank you so much for giving me some time on your busy schedule. So I do appreciate it.
No, please. And you're here again. Not so much the movie this time. Now you have another book you're working on.
I'm working on another book, and now we also are doing a YouTube series. So it's Never Too Late. If you go to nevertoolatemovement.org, you go to that website there that we have up there. And by the end of this week, I believe we'll have our first episode of It's Never Too Late.
How long are the episodes?
We're trying to keep them within 15 minutes. We don't want to drag them out. We want to do about 15 minutes. And they're good interviews because I'm doing some interviews with an ex-FBI agent who was a supervisor of one of the guys that arrested me back in the days. And now he's on board with what I'm doing and being a witness for Christ. So I did an interview with him. I did an interview with one of my old mafia friends, Fat Andy's son, who now is Anthony Ruggiano, and he's doing some YouTube things. He gave his life to Christ, was in the witness protection program. He's out now. So I did an interview with him, my kid brother, and just a few people who know me of my past and knew where I was back then and to where I am today, and just being a witness wherever I go.
And you've traveled around the country doing this, right?
Yeah, well, I do some stuff in Africa, too. I have a ministry out over in Africa. We have these orphan boys and girls that we donate money to. I go like every couple of years. I go down there to witness with them and minister there for like a week or so. So, yeah, we're trying to get all over the place. We need to let people know that emptiness that they're searching for
Can only be
and
filled.
constantly search, because I've been there. What it was a lot of money and I got that, then it was something else, and it's always going to be something else because we are created with a soul in our hole in our soul, and the only person that's going to fulfill that is Jesus Christ himself. So they can search all they want, they're not going to get it. But I got my new beginning when I was in prison, on my hands and knees in Rikers Island, crying out to God. And then he gave me my new beginning. And now I'm Robert Borelli, not Robert Engel anymore.
I love it. So when you gave your life to Christ, when you sort of surrendered your life over, what you were in Rikers Island, why did you, what led you to that spot where you needed to just surrender?
Well, I was in a point of hopelessness because, you see, I was involved with the mob. I was not a made member because I didn't have an Italian last name, couldn't get straightened out. But I was an associate and kind of climbing up the ladder. And then I got into what I wanted to get more money, because more money brings you more power in that lifestyle, involved with the drug business. And the drug business got involved with my business. And before you know it, I lost everything. And I was addicted to crack cocaine coming back into the 90s, the middle 90s. And I had a little baby girl born in 1993. Had an argument with her mother. 7 weeks after she was born, I go get high one more time. And that one more time was too many times, and I never went back home. So the long story to that is in Rikers Island, I was trying to get money for an attorney to get me out of the mess I got into, which usually works pretty good for me, and money in my commissary because I know I'm not going to get any bail, so I can live as comfortable as I can. And everybody was turning their back on me. Then my daughter's mom was allowing me to talk to my daughter over the phone, and Brianna is her name, and she was crying. And I said, Brianna, why are you crying? She said, of course you won't come and see me. And now I'm not medicated. I can't run and get high. I can't medicate my feelings anymore. And I just my heart just shattered to pieces. And I started crying, and I ran back to my cell. I slammed the phone. I don't want the inmates to see me crying. I ran back to my cell. Raised Roman Catholic, not nothing against Roman Catholics, but I was raised Roman Catholic. For me, I knew about God, but didn't know God. So I gave God an ultimatum. God, if you're real, I'm crying on my knees, tears falling on the floor. If you're real, either have somebody kill me or change me, because I can't live with this pain anymore. So the realization of all the damage I did in my past, especially to my little girl who I love so much, just shattered me. And it's a miracle when I cried out to God, the sincerity of my cry, he answered. I became born again, and he took those shattered pieces and made me who I am today.
I love it. So what would you say to people that are thinking about, because that lifestyle is very tempting, especially now. I mean, the way society is now, it's like, committing a crime is not so much as a big deal as it was when we were growing up. And there are people that are drawn to that life, whether they don't have father figures or they're just the excitement or there's no other options. And it's a tempting lifestyle. What would you say to them?
Well, this is what I say. If anybody's involved in that lifestyle or anything, see, my theme today now is it's never too late. And what I mean by that, it's never too late, is it's never too late for a new beginning in life. No matter where you are, what circumstances you're stuck in, whether it's a bad marriage, a complicated marriage, pornography, drugs, no matter what it is, you don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay there. Do what I did. My new beginning started on my knees crying out to God. So you're seeing today, and a lot of my old friends are all over YouTube making all these mafia kind of things, shows and stuff like that. They're not showing you the real truth of what's behind that life. It's very deceitful, all right? They're not showing you how I know a lot of mob guys that were crying in their cells. They're not showing you that part. So it's a phony life. It's false. It's not truth, and that's why I decided to cooperate with the government to shed light on a dark place. And now I'm a witness. I was a witness for the government.
Now you're a witness for
Now I'm a
Christ.
witness for Jesus Christ.
I love it. Robert, it's always a pleasure, and I'm going to look forward to reading your next book, watching your YouTube series, and hopefully one day you can come to New York and we can connect in Brooklyn in the old neighborhood.
Yes, that'll be great. And you're going to take me to Peter Luger's because it's right in your neighborhood.
It's actually right down the block.
Yeah,
It's right
there
down
you
the
go.
block, so.
Last time I ate there was probably in the 80s.
It's right down the
Yeah,
block.
all
So
right.
yes, I'll take
Well,
you.
So thank you so much. Be
Thank you,
blessed.
my
All right,
brother.
appreciate
God
it.
bless
All
you.
right, God bless you too. Thank you.
Guys, hope you enjoyed today's episode of Walk in Faith. Always remember, you have the ability to inspire and evangelize through your words and actions. God bless you. Thank you for watching Walk in Faith. Please log on to emmausbrooklyn.org and please support us and support the ministry as we continue to bring the Word of God through events at the Emmaus Center and shows like Walk in Faith. God bless you.